times ancient, abalone have been called the treasure of the sea. There are currently 5 species of abalone in Japan. The Azo abalone is found in waters from western Hokkaido to the Tohoku region. The Kuro abalone, Megai abalone, Madaka abalone, and Tokobushi abalone live in waters stretching from the southern Kanto region to western Japan. Rearing abalone juveniles, releasing them into the ocean, and then harvesting them several years later in a controlled manner. This is sea farming of abalone. Sea farming of abalone. Mother shells reared in pens undergo artificial spawning and fertilization to produce vast numbers of juvenile shells. The juveniles are transferred to intermediate rearing tanks, kept there until they become big enough to fend for themselves, and are released into environmentally controlled fishing grounds. Then, several years later, only the fully grown abalone are harvested under a carefully regulated system of resource management. Let's take a closer look. Abalone seed stock is produced at the Sea Farming Center. The mother shells are sorted by sex according to the color of the inner shell. The inner side of the mature female shells is bluish. The male shells have a yellowish tinge. The male and female shells are placed in separate spawning tanks. To induce spawning, ultraviolet light is provided in the tank containing the females. With this, the shells can be made to spawn with precise pre-planned timing. The females spawn eggs. And the males release sperm. Control of the sperm concentration is very important in achieving a high rate of fertilization. For this reason, a check is made to see that the sperm concentration has been properly adjusted. The sperm is then injected into a tank filled with eggs. These are abalone eggs as seen under a microscope. These are abalone sperm. Thanks to careful control of the sperm concentration, almost all of the eggs have been successfully fertilized. At the Sea Farming Center, each spawning cycle produces eggs numbered in the millions. Yearly production is on the order of tens of millions. "24 hours after fertilization, the larva develops a snail-like shell and enters a plankton stage, where it swims around in an instinctive search for a place to live. What is important at this stage is to maintain a good environment in the rearing tank by refilling it with fresh seawater once or twice a day. About 5 to 7 days after hatching, the larva discards its swimming organs and begins its life as a bottom dweller. In a natural environment, the abalone attach themselves to rocks. Here, they cling to corrugated plastic sheets. Diatoms, a type of microalgae found in seawater, are also grown on the sheets. In addition to providing food for the young abalone, the diatoms produce oxygen by photosynthesis, thereby helping to maintain a suitable environment within the tank. Abalone larvae about 30 days after hatching. In a natural environment, nearly all of the abalone would be dead by this stage. Sudden meteorological changes, an inability to find suitable feeding grounds, and attack by natural predators all take their toll. After reaching a certain size under these artificially controlled conditions, the juvenile abalone are transferred to outdoor rearing tanks, where they will remain until they reach about 1.5 to 2 centimeters in length. One year later, the day has come to ship the young abalone. The shells are removed from the sheets. For about 15 seconds, the sheets are soaked in seawater at a temperature of about 10 degrees hotter than normal. The stimulation imparted by the warm water makes it easier to remove the shells without injury. The shells are screened and sorted by size. They are then sent to fishery cooperatives around the country for intermediate rearing. During intermediate rearing, the shells are nurtured in a relatively natural environment until they are ready for release into the sea. Because the juveniles eat voraciously at this stage, artificial feed pellets must be constantly supplied to the tanks. Because the rearing tanks are easily fouled, careful cleaning is required. Intermediate rearing is not always done indoors. Sometimes it is done at sea. The abalone reach a size of about 3 centimeters. Once they reach this size, the abalone are much less likely to be attacked by predators. They are now able to fend for themselves in the sea. An important part of sea farming of abalone is to prepare a good environment in which to stock the shells. Here, ropes wrapped with algae seed are stretched out over the bottom of the sea to create a seaweed bed. A barren ground called isoyake. Changes in ocean currents, silt from rivers, multiplication of calcareous algae, and attack by urchins all can kill off the algae on the sea bottom. Yet, by planting a seaweed bed, even this area, beyond all hope of recovery by natural means, can be restored into a verdant fishing ground rich in food for the young abalone. Sandy areas having few rocks on which the abalone can live can be turned into productive fishing grounds by placing concrete blocks on the bottom. The abalone's nemesis, the starfish. Getting rid of starfish is another important part of sea farming of abalone. The abalone, now big enough to survive in the ocean, are readied for release. Corrugated sheet and all, the abalone are placed in a basket and lowered to the bottom of the sea. They are then left to escape on their own. After about 2 days, the abalone crawl out of their basket. It is now up to the shells to fend for themselves in their new environment. Only abalone that are 9 centimeters or larger may be harvested. It takes about 4 years for an azo abalone to reach this size after release. A kuro abalone takes about 3. At long last, the season on abalone opens. Kagidori, or hooking with a long pole, is a method used specially for abalone. Diving is another ancient method of gathering abalone. To avoid stock depletion and preserve natural resources, there are strict regulations on the days and times over which abalone may be harvested. to sea farming, abalone production has become stable and highly predictable. Approximately 4,000 tons of abalone are harvested in Japan each year. Sea farming, the planned production of seed stock, and the careful preparation of fishing grounds, together with enlightened resource management, including strict limits on catch, will continue to provide a dependable and consistent supply of abalone for today and for tomorrow.